Hello there, I am Dom, and this is my first video, so if it's cringy, just ignore it, please. um, but I'm gonna try doing a series on Roblox Studio, on scripting, so yeah, also I have a lot of there's a loud environment, and I have a microphone that picks up basically everything, so yeah, that's that. Um, So there's a keyboard right next to it. I don't know if it should be right next to it, but it's really loud. It picks up the keyboard really well. Like, yeah, just it picks up it really well. I don't know if it picks up the mouse like moving around, but oh yeah, that I think that does it. But yeah, if you just hear me kind of doing that, that's that. And if my dog starts barking, cause like he barks when he thinks someone's here, so that happens a lot. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to have him not do that. But yeah. So if you hear anything weird, just kind of tell me, and I'll try and cancel it out with like a program or something. But this is let's begin here. So this is Roblox Studio. When you first open it up, it should look something like this, and so your account name is up here and stuff. All this is where you're gonna, just stuff. Okay, anyways. So this is the viewport right here. This is what you will see inside of your game. So this is what you will see. You can right click on your mouse and hold that and drag around, and you can move around inside the viewport. And you can use W, A, S, and D to move around. E and Q to go up and down. And yeah, with these basic controls you can move around Studio. It doesn't take that long to work out at all. It took me only a day or two just to get used to it, but it's really quite easy. You can use the scroll button. You can scroll, and you can move around too that way. But yeah, that's that. Anyways, so let me show you more. So up here, starting with the top, we're gonna go top to down. So this is the top up here. The top bar is just your X and stuff, basic functions of a program on Windows 10. Here's the file area where you can click this. This is where you can create a new project. You can open from file, and you can open from Roblox. You can close this file, which just closes closes Roblox Studio completely. Save to file saves like a Roblox Studio file. Saved file as, you can save it as something else. Save to Roblox, you need to have it published in order to save to Roblox, so that's why that's kind of canceled out there. Save to Roblox as, that's there where you can make a new game if you don't want it. I don't know how to describe it or tell you it, but if you had this game and you're like, I don't want it to be in this game, I want it to be in a different game, you can just do save to Roblox as, and it'll save to a different game rather than the game you're currently creating. And then here, hang on. And then right here is the publish to Roblox. You can also do Alt P to publish. That publishes the game to Roblox, so it creates a new game. I'm gonna publish this. So here we have basic info. I don't really know if anything else comes up on the side here, but first is the name of the game. I'm just gonna call it testing place. Description. You don't really need a description. You can just say this is for YouTube. And then you can set the creator, me. There's also other groups that can come up if you're in a group and you're a developer in that group. The genre. The genre doesn't really matter. It doesn't change your search bar or anything. I don't think. And then here's the devices it's allowed on. So there's computer, phone, tablet, and console. When you click on console, this comes up and you have to agree to something, but yeah. And then you click create. And then you created a game right there. And yeah, that's in Roblox. So now, if we if we leave out of here, and then we go into Roblox, and then go to create my games. Alright, so here is testing place, the one we just published. And now we can play it, and here's the description I put, this is for YouTube. And if I play testing place, you can play around. Excuse my beautiful bacon hair. But yeah, you can play around in that. Let's go back to Roblox Studio. Alright, so this is the file area. This quickly creates a new place. I don't know what this is. Quick open, whatever that is. This is to play your game. You can also put F5 there. Undo. And, okay, so here are the tabs. You're going to use these a lot. These are very important. So this is the home tab, where inside of the home tab you have paste, copy, cut, duplicate. And you can also do control C, control Z, I think. No, that's to undo. Control F, I think it is to cut. And then control D to duplicate. And then here's the select. So you can select items in the game, and then you can move items, you can scale items, like make them bigger and change their size, and you can rotate items. Here, this is a new feature. This isn't really important, but here you have collisions, so it will always collide. So if you try and drag an item into one another, it will collide and stop you from doing that. But if you want to have that not happen, just turn collisions off. Join surfaces, I don't use this at all. This just kind of adds welds to the surface, which I don't really like. Then here's the terrain editor. I will get more into the terrain editor in like a building series or something. But yeah, this is just where you can edit your terrain. Yeah. And then here's the toolbox. Inside of the toolbox, you can find all sorts of fun items that you can use, like a pine tree someone made. You can upload your own items to the toolbox, but, yeah, I'm not going to teach you all of this in one tutorial. But this is you can drag in items from the toolbox. And a lot of things do have viruses, which basically means that they, okay, I'm pretty sure you know what a virus is, but just for the people who don't, a virus is it can hack and, mess up your game, and it's stupid how there are hacks. But if they have this little icon right next to them, this means they're safe and they have no viruses. This little icon. See how this one doesn't have the icon? But this one does. See, this one is safe, but I'm unsure about this one. Also, HDadmin is safe. You can use it. But yeah, that's the toolbox. And then here's the part insert selection. So, if you click on part, it adds a new part for you. Yours might have studs on the top. I'm pretty sure it will. But yeah, here is your part. So you can select this by clicking on it. And you can, as the tools over here, you can move them around. You can move your part around. You can scale your part, make it bigger and shorter and stuff. You can rotate your part, rotate it and stuff. You can select your part and grab it and move it. And yeah, that's how to create a part. But if you want to make it so here, let me try and explain. So here, if I add a new part, in the edit selection, you can anchor it and unanchor it. So basically, if it's unanchored, which it's not right now, if I put it into the sky and then if I click play, here we go. So if I clicked, where is it? It's over here. Here, let me close all my plugins on the side. But over here, see, it fell. It fell. That because it's unanchored. If something's anchored, that means it's anchored into the sky. Well, because I moved it, it didn't fall because I'm on the client. There it goes. But yeah, so if it's unanchored, it just kind of falls. It includes gravity. But if I anchor it and then I play, then over here, you will see that it stayed in the air. It didn't fall because it's anchored, and nothing can make it move in the game unless you change its position with a script. So, boom, that's that. So, it's anchored. Even if I go on top of it, it'll stay anchored. So that's the anchor function. Here's the lock function. So, see how I can kind of click on it? If you select the lock function and then the lock tool, if I lock this, then I can't select it. It's unselectable. And then if you want to unselect it, you can just unlock all. Sorry, that's my friend there. Alright, so you can unlock all and then it's unlocked. You can select it inside the viewport. So that's that. And then the group function, what you can do is if I added another part and then I selected both by holding control and selecting another, I selected both and then I grouped them together. This means they're not really one part, but rather a model, like in here, but in the Explorer. I'll show you what the Explorer is in a second. But basically what that does is it kind of groups them together, like how it tells you up here. Puts them together, and yeah. Models, they don't have any properties or anything. I'll get to the properties later too. Okay, but now in this area, material, you can add different materials like grass, corroded metal, fabric, foil, etc. I'm gonna do slate, and then you can change the color here too, like this. But you're kind of limited. There's not really like a where you can create your own colors. But yeah, here's a color kind of thing. Oh, I anchored it there. But yeah, there's that. Yeah. So boom, and every time I create a part, it also keeps these settings. So yeah. So that's the edit selection. This is the test selection. Really simple. So you can play the game, which will completely play the game, obviously. But yeah, you can play the game there, and then here you can, so if you press on this, you can say play here, which what playing here does is it essentially plays where the camera is. So you'll spawn where the camera is, even if there's like spawn points or something. And then if you click run, it just, there's no player, you just kind of run the game and see what happens. That can also be very useful at times. And then, you know, as I was doing it before, up here in the test area is stop and current client. Stop obviously stops the game. Current client means I can exit out of the player, and yeah, and that's me right there. So I'm gonna stop there. And then here are the game settings. These are all the settings for the game. Allow each, you're gonna use this area definitely eventually. I'll get to that area in the tutorial later. Team test is for like if you yeah, I'll get to that in a different tutorial. It's a completely different thing. But yeah, that's the home tab. The model tab is way different. Alright, let me go through the model tab. So the model tab, so as we can see here, if I move my part, it's locked to a grid. Not this grid or anything, but it's locked to a very specific grid. Well, yes, kind of this grid. I'm so confusing, I'm sorry. But it's locked to a grid, obviously. But if we, over here are the basic tools, like I showed you in the home tab, like there. But the rotate, you can tell it how far to rotate. So if I set it at a 45-degree angle, it'll only rotate it at a 45-degree angle at a time. And then if I set it to like 1 degree angle every time I rotate it. And yeah, you know, 10-degree angle, etc. But yeah, I'm just going to keep this at 15 degrees. And then the move is like the snap to grid area. So this is, yeah, the snap to grid. So, see how it snaps to the grid, like I said before? If I set this to 0.5, it'll snap to half of a stud, because 0.5 is half of 1, and a stud is 1. Stud big. But this is a stud, and see it goes halfway through the stud. But if I set it to 0.1, it'll go a tenth of the way through the stud. But yeah, that's that for the snap to grid area. And then the parts area, we already went through this. Solid modeling is the union area, and yeah, this is the union area. You can basically create parts by, you know, unioning them, and this creates like a single part, but they're, yeah, and there's a weird bug where if you set the color of a union, you have to ununion it by, you know, separating, I think it is, yeah, separating the union, and then you have to change the colors and materials individually. But yeah, and then the constraints area, this it's kind of confusing. I'll have to get to this in another tutorial where I will use it. Effects, this is the gameplay section. You can add effects like an explosion. Look at it, exploded over there, right where I told it to. But you know, this is bad. Don't use it. It's better if you use particles instead. Then there's fire. You can add fire into the game, like that. Then you can add a point light, which is just a light. You have to put it inside of a part though, so I'm gonna add a point light, and as you can see, it emits a small light from there. And yeah, just a very tiny light, you can barely see it. But yeah, that's that. And then over here is the advanced section. You can insert objects, like, you know, a part. Oop, what did I do? you can add like a part by dragging it in. You can add all these different stuff, all this different stuff. And yeah, you won't really be using this area much to at all. I don't use it at all. Oh, and I forgot this thing, the spawn area in the gameplay section. This creates a spawn section, so whenever I play the game, it'll always spawn me at that section, unless I do play here, of course. But yeah, somewhere in the spawn area, it'll spawn me there. Alright, so there's the model tab. The test tab is pretty basic. You'll probably find your way around this already. Also, here, except for the emulation one. The emulation, you can select device, and you can set the device of your emulation. So, basically you can see what the GUI, which is the graphical interface, would look like on here. So, yeah, you can do that there. And yeah, that's that. But yeah, you can just turn off this to toggle it, and it stays to the one you selected too. And this is like physical size and fit to window, etc. And then, you know, you can mute your game or not. And then this is pretty simple. You can play the game with multiple like players of yourself. And then the view tab is very important. So you can, the command bar is where you can run commands, like you put a script in here and it'll run it in the game for you. The Explorer and Properties area, these are essential to game development. You need these. So here's the Explorer and Properties. So here, I'll get into this after I finish all the tabs up here. Explorer and Properties, so that's that. There's the Toolbox, Asset Manager. This is where you can manage all your assets in the game. Sorry, my friends are messaging me. You can you can manage all your assets here. Then there's Object Browser. I'll show you this in a later tutorial when we will need it. This is the output. This is where you will find, sorry, these are my plugins erroring. This is where you will get errors if you ever have an error in your script or it fails to work. Script analysis, I never use this, but it just kind of tells you everything about your scripts. Breakpoints, don't know what that is. I've never used it. Call stack, don't know what that is. I already went over the command bar. Watch, don't know what that is. Performance, this is the performance. So here you can see all the performance of your game, the CPU, the ping, everything is here. There's the task scheduler. I don't know what this is. Script performance, don't know what that is. Find results, don't know what that is. Team crate, you can turn on team crate, but I'm not going to do that since I'm not playing with any of my friends. So script recovery, here's the terrain editor. And then the view selector is this little thing up here, where it kind of tells you all the axes of a part. So you can do that. You can full screen, which full screens Studio. And then here is, you can take a screenshot or video record. Video record has terrible quality, just use OBS. And then here is a grid you can enable if you wanted to. And it puts a grid on everything, including new parts that I make. So that's that. I use this sometimes, but not all the time. So there's wireframe rendering. This will render everything in a wireframe mode. Pretty cool. I don't know why you'd use it. And then here are the performance stats, just kind of put into an easier form to understand. Alright, so here are the plugins. These are my plugins. And yeah, Part 2 Terrain is a pretty cool plugin, but I'll show you plugins in a later tutorial. So I showed you all this. Let me enable the Explorer and Properties. The Explorer and Properties are essential. So inside the Explorer, there are services like lighting, players, replicated storage, service script service. These are services, workspace. All of these are services, and there's more services that like aren't really visible, but all the services that you can put stuff in are in here. So the workspace is kind of like what's in your game. So like here I have a part right here, so I added a part and it put a part in the workspace. And I'm just going to keep this part for later reference. And then this is the players. You don't need this unless you're playing. Well, actually, you will need this. But it's only when you're scripting. You don't really add anything here, except for like respawn time and stuff. And then let me go full screen. Oops. Alright. And then there's the lighting. This is the lighting of the game. Again, this is a scripting tutorial, not a building and graphical tutorial. Replicated first is you can put stuff inside of replicated storage and replicated first. Like scripts, you can hold stuff inside of these. Server storage, more storage. There's starter GUI. This is like if you want to create GUI, ignore what I'm doing here. But this is for GUI creation. I'll do a series on that. Service, you can put scripts inside of here. Starter pack is what the player spawns with, like a tool that the player spawns with. I'll get into that in another later tutorial. But yeah, this is the Explorer. Now the Properties tab is really, you need to know it. So if I select my part here, it'll open up a ton of these properties for the part. So there's appearance. This is the appearance of the part. I can select the brick color or the actual color. This opens up a menu where you can select the color, like your own custom color. And then the material is here too. Reflectance. This doesn't really do anything unless you're using the plastic or smooth plastic material. Like this, and then it reflects the sky off of it. The transparency is pretty straightforward. You can set the transparency of it. Now the data section, this is the position. You can script to change its position, which is where you would script this. And yeah, and then there's other properties I forgot to show you, like behavior, anchored, can collide. Can collide is like if it will collide with players or anything. So if can collide is true, it will collide with stuff. But if it's false and it's not anchored, it'll just fall through everything because it can't collide. And then here's the locked and maskless. This basically does nothing. I don't really use it at all. I've tested it out. It doesn't really do anything. And then here's the size. You can set this to like 555, and it'll be 5 studs by 5 studs by 5 studs. Assembly. This is the assembly area. Attributes. I'll show you attributes in a later tutorial. But yeah, that's basically all the basics for Roblox Studio, getting your way around, and I hope you found this really long video helpful. Yeah, I'll probably end up working on the next video right after this. But yeah, that's that. Goodbye.